Welcome to English Express. No glamour, no clamor, simple explanation for last moment revision. Today we are taking up Act 5 of Macbeth for critical overview and discussion. In Act 5, quite a bit is happening, but we shall be looking at some of the major scenes as per the importance of the play. If we look at Act 5, Scene 1, which is famously known as the sleepwalking scene, this is where the major downfall of Lady Macbeth is observed. Lady Macbeth is seen rising from her bed with a taper in her hand, and she walks with her eyes open but senses shut. This entire scene is observed by the doctor and the gentlewoman, who make close observation of the strange, of the uncanny behavior projected by Lady Macbeth. The gentlewoman closely observes that Lady Macbeth rises from her bed, throws the nightgown upon her, walks with a taper in her hand, walks up to her closet, takes out paper, writes on it, reads from it, folds the paper, and again goes back to bed. And all this is done when she is fast asleep. The doctor tries to gauge into further observations about why she is behaving in such a strange manner. If we go by modern psychology, Lady Macbeth is definitely suffering from the sleepwalking disease, but at the same time, we observe certain other psychological distortions in her. It's her guilty conscience which makes her so guilt ridden that she is not able to sleep, thereby echoing the words which Macbeth had once upon a time echoed in Act 2 after the murder of Duncan. Macbeth, when he had heard the voice which said, Macbeth hath murdered sleep, therefore Macbeth shall sleep no more, Corder shall sleep no more. And Lady Macbeth, being the better half of Macbeth, who indulged in inviting the evil ministers to take away all that was womanly and gentle in her. So, therefore, unsexing her, and as a consequence, now she is facing the guilt ridden conscience which keeps on telling her that whatever you had done wasn't right. But her subconscious mind is not at peace, is not at solace, and therefore it tends to arouse in its sleep and still seems to be very protective towards Macbeth. The subconscious mind of Lady Macbeth seems to be very concerned about her husband even when she is walking in her sleep. And as she walks about, she seems to see or observe imaginary blood spots on her hand, and therefore she cries out as if she wants to get rid of them. Out, damned spot! Out, I say. 1 and 2 calls hell murky and says and wonders that how could the old man, here the old man referring to Duncan, could have so much of blood in him. These ideas kind of collaborate to add to the guilt of Lady Macbeth for having committed indirectly the murder of Duncan, because she was the one who instigated Macbeth to carry on the process, or rather the shortcut to achieving the crown, and also pushing Macbeth's vaulting ambition further to achieve the crown and become the villainous character that he was. So, therefore, Lady Macbeth is not able to sleep peacefully, and she is quite perturbed in her sleep. This not only highlights that Lady Macbeth's characterization is unique, but probably Shakespeare, through the projection of a character like Lady Macbeth, tries to also bring in a moralistic angle to the play, stating that if you steep or stoop in your dignity, in your degree of being a proper individual or a good human being, then also the consequences that you have to face are not very pleasant and rather quite tragic. So our tragic character, Lady Macbeth, meets a very tragic fate. And she goes on to say, even all the sweetest, all the perfumes of Arabia will not sweeten this little hand. Oh, oh, oh. The three O's which she cries out is a cry of desperation. She knows there is no turning back. She knows there is no place for forgiveness. Therefore, she has to live with her guilt ridden conscience. While she makes her move, she moves around in such a tragic, desperate manner in her sleep. The doctor and the gentlewoman discover a lot of untold secrets that were relating to Duncan's murder and relating to how Macbeth had achieved the truth, the throne, in a very unjust and you know, unfair manner. And that is where the essence of the sleepwalking scene, Act 5, Scene 1 lies, not only highlighting a degradation in Lady Macbeth's character, but also, weaving the last bit of the play to its proper resolution, to its proper conclusion, because this is the very beginning of the downfall of Macbeth. With the faltering, with the fall of Lady Macbeth, we realize and we understand that she cannot continue to live in this manner. And soon, as the scenes proceed, we will understand this further, that Lady Macbeth will have committed suicide because she could not bear with the pain within her, which was almost haunting her. Act 5, Scene 2, a rather shorter scene, observes how the army prepares to battle and fight Macbeth. Macbeth is slightly panic stricken because though he knows that unless the Burnham Woods walk up to Dunsinane, and the fact that, as the witches had predicted, that no man born of a woman can actually kill him, he is still living with the false sense of security vested by the witches, and therefore he believes that he is indestructible. But at the same time, we realize on a very practical note how Malcolm forms his armies, how England and Scotland come together to completely wipe out Macbeth and his tyranny over Scotland so that they can get back justfully and righteously what belonged to them. Act 5, Scene 3 closely observes the fact that Macbeth learns that many of his soldiers have betrayed him and joined the other side to fight a battle against Macbeth. Satan, his servant, informs his loyal attendant, informs him about the impending dangers that seems to be lurking around the Dunsinane castle. At the same time, the doctor visits Macbeth and informs Macbeth about the deteriorating condition of Lady Macbeth. The the most ep- iconic line which is said by Macbeth at this point of time is cure her of that. Knowing very well that Lady Macbeth cannot be cured at this stage, this is more of an echo and reflection of Macbeth's own condition. He wishes to be cured of the false pride that Macbeth holds, the vaulting ambition that Macbeth holds, and he knows it very well that his life has become an empty void and he cannot be cured of that. His better half is sinking, and very soon he will receive news of her death. Act 5, Scene 4 goes on to highlight how Malcolm decides to fight Macbeth by camouflaging them by cutting off branches from Burnham Wood and progresses towards Dunsinane. This is where the first prediction of the witches are contradicted. when they said that Macbeth should be proud and Macbeth should be unafraid of the situation till Burnham Woods walk up to Dunsinane Castle. And this is exactly what is exactly happening. The quibbling witches have misguided Macbeth beautifully, wonderfully, who had believed so far in every literal meaning of what the witches had predicted. And now it is going to be contradicted when Malcolm actually manages to cut off the branches of Burnham Wood and camouflage his soldiers in such a manner that as they are walking towards the castle of Dunsinane, it seems as if the Burnham Woods seems to be rising in revolt to fight the tyranny of Macbeth. Act 5, Scene 5 takes a very crucial turn in the play, where Satan comes to inform Macbeth that Lady Macbeth is no more. But Macbeth has no time for grief, and he is preparing to go out and meet the battle that awaits him. The part which highlights the void and the futility of everything in Macbeth is a close association with the futility of the life that we all are leading. These lines are significant because not only does it display the literal condition of Macbeth, but metaphorically related to every individual who is leading very empty lives. I read particularly those lines which are recorded as historic lines from the play Macbeth. Tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow creeps in this petty pace from day to day to the last syllable of recorded time. And all our yesterdays have lighted fools, the way to dusty death. Out, out, brief candle. Life's but a walking shadow, a poor player that struts and frets his hour upon the stage and then is heard no more. It is a tale told by an idiot, full of sound and fury, signifying nothing. His life seems to be an example of a tale told by an idiot, full of fury but futility. It doesn't hold any meaning. The death of Lady Macbeth makes him aware of his own futility. Macbeth prepares for the battle. He knows that for the last time, our Bellona's bridegroom has to show his bravery in the battlefield. He doesn't escape from the situation, he rather chooses to fight back, even if that means his death. This is one point where we, although as readers or an audience, we are alienated from the character of Macbeth. This is one particular point where we have to stop to admire the spirit that Macbeth carries on, even as he has to meet his doom at the hands of Macduff. Act 5, Scene 6, 7, and 8, and 9, clubbed together, forms the proper resolution and the tragic ending of the character. We observe that in Act 5, Scene 6, Malcolm and his armies march forward into Dunsinane and the battle commences. Act 5, Scene 7 makes us realize that the atrocities of Macbeth has not really come to an end, because here when he confronts young Seward and he kills Seward, this clearly gives us an idea that Macbeth is overpowered once again and feels confident about the fact that he still has some amount of trust vested in the words of the witches, because killing of Seward gives him that confidence that no man born of a woman can actually harm him or cause his death. But the very next scene, scene 7, highlights, scene 8 rather, highlights the coming of Macduff. And when Macbeth confronts Macduff and learns that Macduff was untimely ripped from his mother's womb, which implies that he was an unnatural baby, or rather, a cesarean baby, a premature baby taken out from his mother's womb, Macbeth is completely filled with fear. He says, "I'll not fight thee." But he realizes that the witches have betrayed him, the ambiguity in the in the words of the witches rather. But even till the very end, Macbeth does not give up and fights like a soldier, only to end the battle with Macbeth reaching his doom. Act 5, Scene 7, Scene 8 highlights the end of Macbeth, and finally, scene 9 shows how order or hierarchical order is finally restored. Malcolm is going to take up the throne, and Macduff has avenged the death of his wife and child. Things are restored back to normalcy, highlighting that from chaos to cosmos is attained, and Macbeth, the tragic character, meets his end. We wonder that whether we should treat Macbeth as the true villain of the play. To be very honest, he is a man with the black as well as the white, and hence the characters of Shakespeare have unique characterization. He became the epitome of villainy, no doubt, but he had also positive sides to look into and gauge forward. It highlights the challenges, situations, temptations which actually influence an individual's life and decides his fate. It's not just his fault alone, but the influences around him. Yes, but the choice is ours and the decision is ours. What we decide to take ahead and what we decide to keep with us. And it is also a play which talks about the concept of morality, the concept of the conscience, and also delves into deep psychological elements, which is crucial to a play which is so relevant not only in the 16th century but even in modern times. So with that, we come to the close of a close discussion of Act 5 and the various scenes in Act 5. For more content, please like, share, and subscribe to my channel. Thank you.